Hey friends, what up? Welcome back to Babylon Talmud, winning at life through the gift of babbling. Friends, I was thinking maybe we change winning at life to win at life. Win at life through the gift of babbling. I think that's a little more chazak. Welcome back to Babylon Talmud. Win at life through the gift of babbling. Wow. It hits you right in the kishkis. Wow. Oof. Chazak. Friends. That was powerful. We're going to study today Daf Samach Beis. Now, here's the thing. We have some stuff to do on Daf Samach Aleph. Now, we'll see how far we get, how long it's taken, how much koyach I have, especially because I already yawned a second ago and I feel a little coming. 1 second. A little babble yawn there. Credit to Rabbi Stroll for the babble yawn. So depending on how much koyach I have at the end, maybe we'll get to a very, very famous story. So we'll see. We'll see where we're at. Maybe we'll get to the famous story at the end, or maybe we'll start with it tomorrow. Friends, we're going to start the Mishnah on Daf Samach Aleph Mebeis. Alright, so the Mishnah, Daf Samach Aleph Mebeis, there's only one Mishnah there, but it's about 5-6 lines after it gets wide. It says the Mishnah, Madir es ishto mitash mishamito. So a fellow makes a vow that he's not going to get any benefit from sleeping with his wife. So Bishama say that we give him 2 weeks to deal with this nonsense. And then after that you get divorced. Beis Hillel says 1 week. Hatamidim yotzin l'talmud shelo b'rshus. So shloshim yom. So Torah students can leave their house without permission to go and study Torah for 30 days. Rosh Hashanah is coming up. It reminds me of like going to Uman. You just bounce and leave for a while. Hapoalim Shabbos achas. The workers, they can bounce for a week. Alright? Ha'ona amur b'Torah. So there's a mitzvah in the Torah of ona, for a fellow to sleep with his wife. Tayolim b'chol yom. So tayolin, the Gemara is gonna explain who's considered a tayol, but a tayol sleeps with his wife every day. Hapoalim shtayim b'Shabbos. Workers twice a week. Hachamorim achas b'Shabbos. Donkey drivers once a week. Hagamolim achas l'shloshim yom. Camel drivers who are driving a bit further away, more long distance, so once every 30 days. Hasaponim, and sailors achas l'shisha chodoshim, once every 6 months. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer, that is Rabbi Eliezer's opinion. Says the Gemara, Matamid Beis Shammai. How come Beis Shammai says that if a fellow makes a vow that his wife cannot get, that he's not going to get any benefit from sleeping with his wife, so after 2 weeks he's got to get divorced? So Gamar Mioledes, so they learn out 2 weeks from giving Mioledes Nekeva, right? When a woman gives birth to a girl, so she is Tameya for 2 weeks. So Beis Hillel Gamar Mioledes Zocher, and Beis Hillel learns out from a woman who gives birth to a boy where she's Tameya for 1 week, and during that time they won't be sleeping with each other. Why doesn't Beis Hillel learn out from Yoledes Nekeva like Beis Shammai does, right? Meaning if there's an opportunity to learn out that it could be a 2 week buffer, so why not give 2 weeks rather than 1 week? So imi Yoledes Gamri lo chinami. So the Gemara answers eno chinami. If Beis Hillel did in fact learn out from Yoledes, from a woman who gives birth, then yeah, we would go with 2 weeks. But Ella Beis Hillel minido Gamri lo. But rather Beis Hillel actually learns out their 1 week limit from Nida, because a Nida, Mida Oraisa, is a Nida for a week. But my kamiflige, what is the machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel? Meaning, why does Beis Shammai learn out from Yoledes, whereas Beis Hillel learns out from Nida? So myself, Midi D'Shriach, well, Beis Hillel Is that right? Yes, that's right. That's right. Beis Hillel learns out something that's common from something that's common, right? That a man and a woman, that a husband and a wife can get in a fight. I guess that's common, right? Rashi says, Midi de Shriach. What does Rashi say? Kas, shekois al ishto madira. Okay, that a husband gets upset at his wife and makes a vow that he's not going to get any benefit from sleeping with her. That happens often. And also, Nida, of course, happens often. So therefore, Beis Hillel says we learn out something that happens often from something that happens often. Whereas Beis Shammai says we learn out from Yoledes because we learn out something that he caused from something that he caused. Right, he's the one who is making the neder over here, and he's the one getting upset. And also, when it comes to Yoledes, he's the one who made her pregnant. All right, I'm going to tell you. That's the machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. Beis Shammai learns out from Yoledes, Nekeva, and Beis Hillel learns out from Nida. Rav machlokas b'mefarish. Now, Rav says that the machlokas is when he specifies, right? So if he says that he's not going to get any benefit from his wife, let's say for 1 week, so Beis Hillel would say, well, that's too much, and he's not going to get benefit from sleeping with his wife for 1 week. Beis Hillel says, well, that's too much, and they have to get divorced. Then Beis Shammai says, no, you have up to 2 weeks. But what if he didn't specifically say for how long? He just said, I'm not going to get any benefit from sleeping with my wife indefinitely. Well, then just forget about it. Let them, they should just get divorced immediately. You don't wait a week and then get divorced. He says, that he's not going to sleep with his wife. No, he's not going to get benefit from sleeping with his wife indefinitely. So then immediately they get divorced, and he pays her Ksubis. Where Shmuel says afilu b'stam nami. Where Shmuel says no, even if he says, it doesn't give a time frame for how long this is for. But Nami Yamtin, let him still wait for the requisite amount of time, right? So meaning, even if he says that he's not going to get benefit from sleeping with his wife for, and he doesn't give a time limit, right, indefinitely. But still, according to Beis Hillel, you would wait a week before they would get divorced. Beis Shammai would say wait the 2 weeks before getting divorced, because Shema Yimot say Pesach Linidro, because maybe they'll find some way to sort of undo the vow during that time. Right? Maybe during that time they'll find some way to make the vow null and void, and they would be able to stay married. So therefore, Shmuel says, hold your horses, right? Don't immediately get divorced. Let him at least wait until sort of he passes the limit, which is a week according to Beis Hillel and 2 weeks according to Beis Shammai, at which point they get divorced. But during that time, at least maybe we could find some way to annul the vow. So now, the Gemara, 1 second. Why do we need this machlokas between Rav and Shmuel, right? That, of course, they both agree that if he says how long he's not planning to get benefit from sleeping with his wife for, so then, we go based on what he says. But this machlokas between Rav and Shmuel about when he doesn't express for how long, that Rav says that they get divorced immediately. Shmuel says that at least wait for, until a week or two is up. So they already have this machlokas. The Tanan is we learn in the Mishnah, Madir Asishto, fellow makes a vow, Milehanos Lo, that he says that his wife can't get any benefit from him. Ad Shloshim Yom. So, Ad Shloshim Yom Yamid Parnis. So for up to 30 days, so, right, meaning he's saying that, right, that she can't get any benefit from his money. So for 30 days, you can at least have somebody else support her for those 30 days. Meaning he's saying that she can't get any benefit from his possessions. So at least during that time, you can have a representative take care of her of her finances during that time. But Yosef Mikan Yotzi V'Ten Ksubis, more than 30 days though, then that doesn't work, and they have to get divorced. And Rav says that this is where he specifically, right, he specifies the amount of time. But if he just says that, she can't get any benefit from his money indefinitely, well then they get divorced immediately. V'Ten Ksubis, and he pays her Ksubu. Shmuel says, Afilu b'stam nami yamtin, even if he doesn't specify a time limit, right, an amount of time, still wait at least, still wait for 30 days before getting divorced. Because maybe we'll be able to find some kind of way to annul the vow. So we seem to have the same machlokas between Rav and Shmuel, both by should I yawn? I'm trying to figure out if I should do it or not. Maybe, one sec. Okay, I'm back. So one machlokas is in the context of Ona, right? When he says he's not going to get benefit from sleeping with his wife. And the other one is when he says that she can't get any benefit from his money. So we seem to have the same machlokas, that when he doesn't specify the amount of time, Rav says that they get divorced immediately. Shmuel says wait, and at least until sort of by Ona it would be a week or two. Let's say Beis Hillel would say a week, and by his money it would be 30 days. At least wait until that time is up before getting divorced, because at least maybe you'll find some kind of way to annul the vow. So, and tzricha, we need both of these cases. We need the case of Ona, and we also need the case of the money. The itmar beha. So if we only had our case in the Mishnah of Ona, so behaka amar Rav, this is when Rav says that they have to get divorced immediately. Mishum delo efshir b'parnis, because tashmish, he can't have somebody else do it for him. So therefore, he may as well get divorced immediately. When it comes to his money, the efshir b'parnis, that he could have somebody else take care of her finances for him. So ema modi le the Shmuel, I might think that he might in that case agree with Shmuel that let them wait the 30 days before getting divorced. And if we would only have the case of the money, that is where Shmuel says wait 30 days, because there's a parnis, there's a fellow who's taking care of her finances during that time. But over here when it comes to Ona, where he can have a representative, so I might say that he admits to Rav that they would get divorced immediately. Therefore we need both cases to show that the machlokas is the same, both by Ona and by his money. Wow, I didn't think that getting to the bottom of Samach Aleph Beis would take that long, but okay, what do you want me to tell you? But now I think it's a little bit smoother sailing until the end. Should I yawn again? 1 second. Wow, this really is Babel Yawn Talmud. Okay. HaTalmidim Yotzin the Talmud v'chulei. Oh. So the Mishnah had said that the Torah students can go out and leave home to study Torah without asking permission for up to 30 days. So, B'shus Kamen, what if they ask for permission? How long do they have? So, Kamen the boy, as long as they want. Alright, whatever they get permission for. Orcha de Milsa Kamen, but what's kind of standard? So, Omer, or recommended. Omer Rav, Chodesh Kan v'Chodesh Bebayis, Rav says 1 month in the Beis HaMedrash and 1 month at home. 1 month on, 1 month off. Shenemar, as the Pasuk says, L'chol Dvar Machlikos, Haba v'Ayotzeis Chodesh b'Chodesh L'chochot She'ashon. It says by David HaMelech that there would be these people that would come and serve him Chodesh b'Chodesh, Kilu, 1 month on, 1 month off. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Chodesh Kan v'Shnayim Bebeis. Rabbi Yochanan says 1 month at the yeshiva, and then 2 months at home. Shenemar, as the Pasuk says, Chodesh Yu Ba'Levanon. They will be in Lebanon for a month, Shnayim Chodeshim Bebeso, and then 2 months at home. That was by the Binyan Beis HaMikdash by Shlomo HaMelech. Rav Nami, my time lo Omer Me'ahi. How come Rav doesn't say like Rabbi Yochanan says to learn out from the pasuk by Binyan Beis HaMikdash that 1 month at home, 2 months, 1 month in the Beis in that case in the Beis HaMikdash, but in our case, in our usage in the Beis HaMedrash, and then 2 months at home. So Shani Binyan Beis HaMikdash De'efsha Ayidei Achim. Well, by Davka, by Binyan Beis HaMikdash, other people could have done it, right? And therefore, so you go work for 1 month, and then you go home for 2 months. But I guess by Talmud Torah, we want you learning more often. Rabbi Yochanan, my time, how come Rabbi Yochanan doesn't learn out from Rav's pasuk, which is 1 month on, 1 month off? Shani Osam Disla Le Harvache. That it's different when it comes to right when they were by the King David HaMelech. So it says they're 1 month on, 1 month off, but that was sort of an exceptional case because by sort of being 1 month on and being close to David HaMelech, there's benefits for the family, right? It helps out the family. Maybe they get certain I don't know, like rewards and stuff like that. So therefore, she'll be kind of okay with him being away every other month because he was going to be by the king. What does Rashi say? What is it? Sheish lo sacher yesh la mizonos meruvachim v'tachshitim. Aval Talmud Torah mitzvah dilehu. Right, so when it comes to those people that were going to David HaMelech 1 month off, so they come back with good stuff. So she's okay with that. But Talmud Torah is really his mitzvah, and therefore he shouldn't just go away every other month. That would be the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan. Rather, 1 month away, 2 months home. Amar Rav says, Rav, Anoche shoveres chatzi gufa shel adam. A krechts. You know what a krechts is? A hartzige krechts. A krechts is kind of an onomatopoeia, I think. Whatever you think a krechts is, go with your gut. It's probably that. It's probably that. Amar Rav Anocha shoveres chatzi gufa shel adam. A krechts breaks half of a fellow's body. Shneimar, as the Pasuk says, V'ata ben Adam, fellow, he'anach krechts, b'shivon masnaim, with breaking of the loins, with mirus, and with bitterness, te'anach, shayu krechts. Excuse me, 1 second. Wow, yawning, clearing my throat. So what about Babel clear? I guess it doesn't really fit in with Babel yawn, Babylon, Babel yawn. Okay. Shneimar Zebaz says, okay, fine, very good. Rabbi Yochanan says, Rabbi Yochanan, Av kol gufa shel adam. A gewaltige krechts can destroy a fellow's whole body. Shneimar Zebaz says, Vaya ki yomer elecha. And it is when they will say to you, Ama'ata nenoch, for what are you krechtzing about? Ve'omart, and you'll say, El shmua kiva, because of the tidings that we have received. V'nomis kolev, his entire heart will dissolve. V'rafu kol yadayim, and the hands will become very weak. V'cheasa kol ruach, and his spirit will become dim. V'chol birkaim telachna moim, and their knees will become like water. Friends, you remember when Kramer was learning karate, and he says that his first time facing his opponent, his legs, they were like noodles. That's what Cosmo Kramer said. So maybe because when he saw his opponent, he put a krechts. I think that's pshat. That's pshat. Kramer probably didn't even realize this at the time. Probably the first time that Cosmo Kramer faced an opponent in karate, he probably let out a hartzige krechts, and that's why his legs were like noodles. Interesting pshat. Rabbi Yochanan, we should ask Jerry Seinfeld. We should get him to listen to Babylon Talmud. Mistami does Daf Yomi. Do it with us. Win at life through the gift of babbling. Rabbi Yochanan Nami Oksiv B'Shivon Mosnaim. So Rabbi Yochanan, who says it's the entire body, so what about the pasuk that says it's only your loins, which are in the middle of your body? That just means that it starts from the loins. What about Rav, who says it's just the half of your body? What about the pasuk that makes it seem like it's the whole body? Well, that was regarding the Beis Hamikdash, the Tkifa Tuva, that's particularly potent. How you saw there was a Yid and a Gentile that they were traveling together. And the Gentile was unable to keep up with the pace of the Yid. So you know what the Gentile did? He reminded him of the Churban Beis Hamikdash. Nogid v'isnach. So you know what the fellow did? He krechts. He let out a krechts. And even so, the Gentile was unable to keep up with the pace of the Yid. So the Gentile says to the Yid, he says, "No, I thought the idea was that a krechts breaks half of a fellow's body. So I would have thought that it would have slowed you down." That's something new. A new tidings, when you krechts over a new tidings, so then it breaks half of your body. But the news of the the tragic news of the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash is not something new. This is a pretty intense line. It says that a woman who is accustomed to losing her children, so then she kind of becomes I don't know what the word is, boasa, I don't know, not like used to it, but I don't know, less effect, or detached from it, I guess, eventually. And I guess as it continues to happen, it becomes, she just kind of gets detached from it. Okay. So now the Mishnah said that the Tayolin have a mitzvah to sleep with their wives every day. Ma Tayolin, what are these Tayolin? Rava says, Rava b'nei Pirkei, the Torah students. Abai says to Rava, Man dichsiv bihu, the people about whom it says, Shavlochim ashkimekum machrei sheves, that it's, I don't know, it's nothing for you. Those people wake up early and stay late. Ochli lechem ha'atzobim, I don't know, eat the bread of irritability. Kenitin litido shena, you will give to your friend sleep. V'amar Rav Yitzchak, says Rav Yitzchak, Eilun shosein shel talmidei chacham. This is a reference to the wives of the Torah scholars, shemenadido shena meineim ba'olam hazeh, that they push off sleep from their eyes in this world, uvaos l'chai olam haba, and come to the world to come. So this is a reference to the wives of the Torah scholars who stay up late waiting for their husbands to come home from the yeshiva. So we see that the Torah students are dafka very busy, and they're at the yeshiva and they're learning. And what, they just have time to be home sleeping with their wives every night? About Omar b'nei Pirkei. So, and you explain that these tayolim that have the mitzvah of ona every night is yeshiva students. Elo Amar Abai, rather says Abai Kidrab. It's like Rab the Amar Rab Kigon Rav Shmuel bar Rav Shilas. It's like Rav Shmuel bar Rav Shilas de'ochel mididei, that he eats his own food. V'shasu mididei, he drinks his own drinks. V'goni betula da'apadnei, and he sleeps in the shade of his passel. Like palace, castle, passel. V'lochalef pristika demalka above, and the nudniks from the king, just leave him alone. So Rashi points out that, and we learned recently, that Rav Shmuel bar Shilas was a malamed tinokis, that he was a teacher, and therefore, he was like, he had a 9 to 5. He had a 9 to 5. He would come home every day. He had his food. He had his drink. He wasn't a particularly wealthy person. The king left him alone. Somebody like that, so he's home and he can. So says Abai that he would somebody like that would have a mitzvah of ona every night. Also, Rav and Omer could go mefanki de my Rav. When Rav came from Eretz Yisrael to Bavel, he said it's like the people in Eretz Yisrael who are very pampered, and they're home and they're available, and they're able to have ona every night. Rabbi Bo avakoi beibani. Rabbi Bo was in the bathhouse, avu samchile trei avde, and he had two servants who were assisting him. Ifchiz beibani mituse, and the bathhouse just opened up underneath it. Apparently, under the bath there was like an open kind of area where, like, I guess excess overflow water would go into, whatever it is. There was like it was underneath the actual bath. There was like a drop. Israme lay, and the bottom of the bath opened up. Unfortunately, recently in Eretz Yisrael there was a tragedy where there was a pool that the bottom just let out, and there was just like a pit underneath, and somebody died. Israme le Amuda, and Rabbi Bo kind of located a pillar, Solik, and he was able to get out, Vaskinu, and he was able to extract his attendants as well. Rabbi Yochanan was going upstairs. Havu Samchele, Rav Ami Ravasi were supporting him. Ifchasadarga Tuse, and the step gave out from beneath him. Solik Vaskinu, and he managed to save himself, and he also managed to save Rav Ami and Rav Asi by pulling them out. Amri le Rabbanan, the rabbi said to Rabbi Yochanan, if you're so strong that you're able to save both Rav Ami and Rav Asi, lama le lemismche, so why do you need to lean on them when you walk? He says, well, if I'm using all of my energy all the time, what will I have left over from when I'm an older fellow? Interesting. The workers they sleep with their wives twice a week. We learn in a brayso that says that the workers have a mitzvah of ona once a week, not twice a week. Amr Reb Yosef Reb Chanina says Reb Yosef Reb Chanina lo kasha. It's no problem. Kan ba'osim malacha be'irin, kan ba'osim malacha be'acher. So it depends where their work is. If their work is in their city, so then they're home and they have a mitzvah twice a week. But if their work is in a different city, so then once a week. Tanan Amiyachi, we also learn in a brayso like this, Hapalim Shtayim b'Shabbos, that the workers have a mitzvah of ona twice a week. When do we say this? That is when they do work in their city. But if their work is under a city, in a different city, so then the mitzvah is once a week. So donkey drivers once a week. So Rabbi Bar Rav Chanan asked Abai, he says, our Mishnah had said, right, what was the first part of our Mishnah? Machlokas between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel. If a fellow makes a vow that he's not going to get benefit from sleeping with his wife for 1 week or 2 weeks. Now here's the thing, of course assuming that we pass him like Beis Hillel. So Beis Hillel is learning it out from Nida and he has up to a week. If you look at all the examples in the Mishnah, the only professions that have a mitzvah of ona more than once a week are the Tayalim, who have the mitzvah every day, and the Po'alim, who have the mitzvah twice a week. Other than that, you have people, right, the Gamolim, for example, is once every 30 days, right? Forget about the sailors once every 6 months. So how could, I don't understand the Mishnah that we're talking about a fellow makes a vow that he's not going to get benefit from sleeping with his wife for a week, and already he has to get divorced. Yet there are some people who dafka the mitzvah is only once every 6 months. So what? So Ichbal Tan Lashmin and Tile Foal. What is the Mishnah only referring to just a tile and a foal, and it doesn't apply to Chamorim and Gamolin and Saponim? So Amalei, so Abai says Lo Akulu. So Abai responds to Rabbi Bar Rav Chanan, and he says no, actually it applies to all of them. Vashisha Chadashim Kamar. To which Rabbi Bar Rav Chanan says, I don't understand. A sailor only sleeps with his wife every 6 months. So I don't understand. If he makes a neder that he's not going to sleep with his wife for a week, why does he have to get divorced? The mitzvah is he only sleeps with his wife every 6 months anyways. So you ready for the answer? You guys know the answer already? It's kind of famous, I think. Eino doma misheyesh lo pas besalo mishein lo pas besalo. That psychologically speaking, it's different when you know that you have bread in your basket than when you don't know that you have bread in your basket, right? Meaning, if you know that you have a meal waiting for you, so you can wait another 5 minutes, 10 minutes, an hour, whatever it is. But when you don't know when your next meal is, so then you don't know how long to wait for, and it's, it's more difficult psychologically. And therefore, even though, yes, the mitzvah for a sailor is to sleep with his wife every 6 months, but still, if he makes a neder, that he's not going to get any benefit from sleeping with his wife, which be'etzem means that they can't sleep with each other. So then he can't do that for more than a week. What's the difference? Well, let's say he's home, and they had their biannual bia, and now he's going out to sea for another 6 months. And before he leaves, he makes a neder. I'm not gonna sleep with you for a week, which is a problem according to Beis Hillel. So the thing is, if he didn't make that neder, so she knows, look, he's going away for another 6 months. But who knows, maybe the trip will be canceled and he'll come home and then maybe they can have bia again. So even though technically speaking the mitzvah is only for 6 months, but there's still the chance that maybe it'll be more than that. But when he makes a neder and says, no, I'm not sleeping with you for a month or whatever, which is more than a week. So then already she knows it's not an option. And if it's not an option for more than a week, then they have to get divorced, right? So even when, practically speaking, they're probably not going to be sleeping with each other for 6 months, but at least, who knows, if he shows up within that time, he comes back early, whatever it is, so then they'll at least be able to have bia. But when he makes a neder, then it's final. So in Odoma Misheyesh Lo Pas Besalo, it's not similar, right? It's a different story when you have bread in your basket than when you don't have bread in your basket. When there's a possibility, right? Meaning when it becomes final, that there's no possibility of them being able to have bia, so then it becomes a problem. Even though, they're not going to be sleeping with each other more than every 6 months anyways. What if when they got married, he was a donkey driver, and the mitzvah for a donkey driver is once a week, but then he decides, you know what, I'm changing professors, I'm becoming a camel driver. Now, camel driver, the mitzvah is only once a month. So, is that okay? Can he, what's that called? When you do something one-sidedly? What's that called? When you do something one-sidedly? What's it called? I can't remember what it's called. When you do something like one-sidedly. Meaning you just do it without expecting anything in response. I can't remember. So not necessarily, meaning without consulting with the other side. Unilaterally. Can he unilaterally decide that he's changing professions to a profession that means that Lemaise, he's going to be having bia once a month as opposed to once a week? It obviously affects his wife as well. So Amarle Rotza Isha Bakab Vitiflus Mesar Kab Nufrishus. She would. So we say, well, we assume that his wife would prefer that he make less of a living, but be around, rather than to make more money but not be around. So we said that the sailors have a mitzvah of ona once every 6 months. Amar Rav Brona, that's the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. So Amar Rav Brona says Rav Brona Amar Rav in the name of Rav Alacha Rabbi Eliezer, that the Alacha is like Rabbi Eliezer. Amar Rav Ada bar Ahava Amar Rav Zod Rabbi Eliezer, that this is specifically the opinion of Rabbi Eliezer. The Chacham say Talmidim Yotzin the Talmud Torah Beis V'Gimel Shanim. So we had said in our Mishnah that the Talmidim can go away without permission for maybe that's not what I said, but I guess all these different mitzvahs of ona, I guess the maximum was 6 months, but says, right, the Chacham said, Talmidim Yotzin the Talmud Torah Beis V'Gimel Shanim, that the Torah students can go to yeshiva for 2 or 3 years at a time. Shelo b'rishus, without permission. Okay, there you go, right? So the Mishnah had said that the Torah students can leave their house without permission for up to 30 days, but apparently, the rabbis say that they can leave without permission, they can leave their house without permission for 2 or 3 years. Rava says, that the rabbis relied upon Rav Ada bar Ahava, and they would leave their homes without permission for 2 or 3 years. And they were playing with fire. Like the story, as demonstrated by the story of Rav Rachumi, he would spend a lot of time by Rava in Machoza. He would go home once a year. He would go home on Yom Kippur, right, for Yom Kippur. On Erev Yom Kippur. Yom Echad Mishachte Shmaita. And one year came Erev Yom Kippur, and he was engrossed in the sugya that he was learning. He was engrossed in the learning, and either he was late, or he was going to be late. Have Mesachya Devisu, and his wife was waiting for him. Hashta Osi. She was waiting, and she was saying, okay, maybe now he's coming, right? He's late, where is he? Lo Osa, and in the end, he didn't come. Cholash Daita, and she felt really sad. Achis Dimasa Me'ena, and she shed a tear. Hava Yosef Be'igra, and at that time, Rav Rachumi was sitting on the roof in an attic, Ifchis Igra, and the attic gave out mituse from below him, v'nochnafshe, and he died. So they were really, these Torah scholars were relying upon Rav Ada bar Ahava to leave home for long periods of time. But says Rava, they were playing with fire, as demonstrated by the story of Rav Rachumi. He would go home once a year, and one time he showed up late. His wife was crying, and he died. Ona shatamidei chacham emas. What is the ona mitzvah for Talmidei Chacham, Torah scholars? So Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Shmuel, says Rav Yehuda the name of Shmuel, me'erev Shabbos le'erev Shabbos, every Friday night. Ashapir yite be'ito, that when the pasuk says that its fruit, it gives at its time. Amar Rav Yehuda v'iteim Rav Huna, v'iteim Rav Nachman, zamashamish mitosum erev Shabbos le'erev Shabbos. This is a fellow who has bia every Friday night. Yehuda brei de Reb Chia, Yehuda the son of Reb Chia, Chasani de Reb Yanai, the son-in-law of Reb Yanai, have also Yosef bevei Rav. He would go and study in the yeshiva. And every Friday he would come home. And when he would come home on Fridays, preceding him would be a column, a pillar of fire. A pillar of fire would precede him. And then one Friday he is learning, he was engrossed in the sugya, and he kept on learning later than he usually does. And when they didn't notice that there was a pillar of fire coming in their direction, Rabbi Yana said to them, flip over his bed, i.e. display signs of mourning, because if Yehuda was still alive, lo bitul onaso, he wouldn't be mevatel the mitzvah of ona, i.e. he would be back on Friday afternoon on time. It must be that he's gestorben, that he's dead. And there was like a fa po, is that what it's called? Like when you do something silly. And sure enough, Yehuda Beit Reb Chia died. Rebbe was making a shidduch for his son with the daughter of Reb Chia. When it came time to write the Ksubis, Reb Chia's daughter, the Kale, died. Rebbe says, Rebbe Chaz v'shalom psula ika. Maybe there's some kind of problem with the shidduch. Yasivu ve'ainu b'mishpachos. They looked at the yichus. They looked at Rebbe's yichus and Reb Chia's yichus. Rebbe Asi Mishvatir ben Avito. Rebbe's family hails from Shvatir ben Avito. Avito was the wife of David HaMelech. So basically Rebbe comes from David HaMelech. Reb Chia Asi Mishimi Achi David. Whereas Reb Chia comes from Shimi, the brother of David. So while Rebbe is a descendant of, right, David HaMelech, of a kingly lineage, is that the thing? Kingly? Is that what you would say? A kingly, a royal, that sounds nice. A royal family. Whereas Reb Chia didn't come from a royal family, close but no cigar, from the brother of David, but not David, not from the royal family. Also the Asik lay, and they assume that is why Reb Chia's daughter died. Also the Asik lay livrei beit Reb Yossi ben Zimra, so Rebbe then made a shidduch with the daughter of Reb Yossi ben Zimra, Paskule Tarte Sveishnin, the Mezel Bevei Rab, and as part of the shidduch agreements, so they gave Rebbe's son 12 years to go and study in yeshiva. Hachlefua Kame, and then they so after it was decided that they were going to get married, and he would go to yeshiva for 12 years. They finally brought out the daughter of who is it? Reb Yossi ben Zimra. No, where am I? Reb Yossi ben Zimra. So finally, they brought out the daughter of Reb Yossi ben Zimra. Amrlu nehav shishnin. At which point, once he saw her, he said, "Wait a second. Maybe instead of 12 years, maybe it could be 6 years." Achlafu kame, and then I guess they brought her out a second time. Amrlu ichnis v'adu ezel, and then he said, "You know what? Maybe actually we can get married now, and then I'll go study in yeshiva afterwards." So have a call michsif me'avur, and then he started getting embarrassed in front of his father that he literally just like that went from going to study in yeshiva for 12 years before getting married to deciding that he needs to get married right now. To which Rebbe says to his son, "Don't worry, my son. The Eibishter set a precedent. Said you're following the example of the Eibishter. Initially it says that first we'll bring the Yidden to Eretz Yisrael and they'll get established and planted, and then we'll build the Beis Hamikdash Levasov Ksiv. But then it says ultimately and they'll make for me a temple, and I will dwell among them. Initially the plan was to wait till the Yidden got to Eretz Yisrael, but in the end we just built a Mishkan already in the desert because we couldn't wait. So Beseder, it's all good. You can get married first. Also Yosef Taitis Reishnei Bevei Rab. So then, after he got married, he then went and studied for 12 years. But by the time he came home, 12 years later, his wife was already unable to conceive. So now Rebbe says, now what do we do? Nigarsha, if they get married, they'll say, poor girl, Lashav Shimra that she was just waiting around for 12 years for no reason. So if we say, okay, so let's just don't get divorced, but we'll add a co-wife. So Yom Zo Ishto V'Zo. They'll say, okay, so his real wife is the daughter of Rabbi Yossi ben Zimra, and this other wife is basically somebody he sleeps with to have kids. But in the end, what Rabbi did was he davened, and she then was able to conceive. Interesting, right? That there was like two options. Neither one was like particularly good. And Rabbi says, you know what? We don't have to go with either option. I'll just pray and fix it. That's pretty awesome. There were kind of like two options. Neither one was a good option. Rabbi was unwilling to accept either one. So he's like, he's like, all right, well, we'll just get the outcome that we want. We'll pray for it. We'll get it. That's cool. Friends, what should we do? Should we go weiter? Maybe we should take a break, a shtickle. Maybe it's stick because there's such geschmack stuff coming up. I don't want anybody to be tired. So maybe let's do that. Maybe let's break it up over here, and then we'll pick it up from here tomorrow. So I guess we learned about the different mitzvahs of ona, of the mitzvah of a husband and a wife to have marital relations, and the frequency at which that needs to happen based on the profession of the fellow. We also saw a machlokes between Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel about how, if a fellow makes a neder that he's not going to get benefit from sleeping with his wife, so Beis Shammai says he has up to 2 weeks, that if he makes a neder for more than 2 weeks, then they have to get divorced. Beis Hillel says it's actually 1 week. We saw machlokes between Rav and Shmuel about what if he doesn't actually specify the length of time, but says indefinitely. So Rav says they get married, they get divorced immediately, whereas Shmuel says you wait until a week is up, according to Beis Hillel, and only at that point they get divorced, because maybe you could figure out a way to annul it in the interim. And then we saw, different people would go and study Torah for prolonged periods of time. Friends, we're going to pick up from here tomorrow. Peace.